Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning, everybody. Let's start with the thriller yesterday in Washington, D.C. Alex Caravan hits a three for UConn, gets him within one. That's Cameron Boozer scoring. Duke's up three, right? Game's over. UConn hits one of two free throws. Duke, all they have to do is inbound the ball. Instead, they turn the ball over. They get a chance, and the all-time shot knocked down with 40 feet away on a three from Braylon Mullins to give UConn a 1-point lead with 0.3 of a second remaining. Again, just inbound the ball. Boozer turned it over. Caravan with the presence of mind just to dump it off. And then Mullins with a 40-footer for all time to send everybody into hysteria and send Duke home and Connecticut on to the Final Four. 73-72 the final in an absolute wild game. Here is the bracket after the games that will happen this weekend. We're down to the Final Four, as I mentioned. Connecticut is one of them. They will play on Saturday in the first game against Illinois. UConn back in the Final Four for the third time in 4 years. And the other side, a couple of one seeds, Arizona and Michigan. Michigan dominated Tennessee yesterday. A little local connection on the Wolverines. One of the rare Power Four guys. I think there's only 20 Power Four seniors that have played their entire career at one school. Will Cheddar is one of them. He is the son of Garth Cheddar and Casey Morlock, two NDSU great athletes. We covered Will when he was coming out of high school in Stewartville, Minnesota, and verbally committed to play basketball at the University of Michigan. He has been there the entire time and now is going to the Final Four. So we got a little connection there. We're going to try to get the Cheddars coming up later on this week before the Final Four begins on Saturday night in Indianapolis. And with that, we say good morning and welcome to Hot Mic, everybody, here on the final Monday in March after a dynamite weather weekend. Hope everybody got out there and enjoyed it. It was fantastic. And I have questions, I do a lot, on the availability of Newman Outdoor Field, because this weekend the Bison baseball team was supposed to play its home opener with Oral Roberts. The first game Friday got moved because of the temperature. They were going to play a double dip Saturday and then one game Sunday. And then we got word at about, 1 o'clock on Saturday that the games were not going to be played Saturday because of unplayable field conditions. And then Sunday got banged as well. So it had to feel surreal for Tyler Oaks to look outside like, hey, it's 60 degrees outside, light wind, and we can't play, which there's only so many weekends that you can get in. But unfortunately, that was the case for the North Dakota State baseball team. But we had plenty of other events going on across the sporting landscape this weekend. We'll get to the Frozen Four lineup. The University of North Dakota is heading back for the first time in 10 years. UND with a victory on Saturday night in Sioux Falls over Quinnipiac in a regional where they allowed 0 goals. If you do that, you're going to win. They did that in spades with an all-time performance from Jan Spunar, their goaltender. And now UND is off to Vegas in the Frozen Four. We'll get to that coming up later on in the show. We'll also chat some Bison football recruiting. If you follow that at all, it was a red-hot weekend. The Bison added 4 players over the span of about 36 hours, late Friday into Saturday. It was actually really neat, one of those occurrences where practice was open to us on Friday, which we'll have plenty of that coming up later on in the show. You're going to hear from Nathan Hayes, the new Bison starting quarterback. but NDSU was able to lock down a commitment, a local guy, when we were there, and he was there. And Drew Matt, big offensive lineman from Carrington, North Dakota. He's going to be on the show probably tomorrow, looking like. He committed there on Friday. We had the good fortune of actually getting a chance to talk to him. He is the answer to the question, the first North Dakotan to commit to the Bison as an FBS member. It is him from Carrington. So that's a pretty neat deal. Much more on that coming up later on in the show. But it was the opening baseball weekend. We left Friday. We had Corey Provis join us on the show Friday to give us the lowdown on the 2026 Twins. They had lost their opener to Baltimore. They came back Saturday and got their first win. Royce Lewis looked pretty good on the game on Saturday. Then wrap it up yesterday, and this, how it played out, this, unfortunately, if this may be the case, we're going to have more of these games than not in 2026, where they get out, play well, and then they can't pitch their way out of it down the stretch. If you were looking for your first Tristan Gray moment, it happened in this game as well. It starts with a Trevor Larnach RBI infield hit. Matt Wallner scores. 1-0 visitors. Same score later in the inning. Here's our guy Tristan Gray, who we met last week. He made the opening day roster, comes up with a big hit into the gap in right center. That's going to clear the bases. Josh Bell scores, Larnach scores, Caratini scores, but then Gray gets tagged out. Like, what are you doing? Can't run yourself out of the inning. But he did. Be that as it may, it was a 4-0 Twins lead. It didn't last long on Bailey Ober. Tyler O'Neill hammers this to left for a 3-run shot. Makes it 4-3 in the fourth inning. Same score in the bottom of the sixth until this hit comes through from Dylan Beavers. Drives in 2. Baltimore now goes back in front 5-4 until Royce Lewis changes it with a solo shot. We're knotted up at 5 in the top of the 7th inning. It didn't stay tied for long. Pete Alonso, why can't the Mets find players like him? Dumps this in for a base hit. Gives Baltimore a 6-5 lead. This against Mick Abel. Adley Rushman comes up. This is crushed to deep center. Buxton played it perfectly. Only 1 run comes in. It's 7-5. They add to it to the Orioles on this hit from Kobe Mayo. That made it 8-5, all in the 7th. Twins weren't done. Gray comes up with a base hit with the bases loaded. That makes it an 8-6 score, but much like what happened on Thursday, with runners in scoring position, Twins weren't great again. This a fly out in the 9th inning for the final out of the game. Ryan Helsley, why couldn't he do that for the Mets last year? Orioles beat the Twins 8-6, the final, to prevent the Twins from winning the series. Baltimore wins it 2-1. Abel came in relief of Bailey Ober, goes 3 1/3, allowed 8 hits, 5 runs, and 4 walks. Now, the big thing that happened in this game late, if you stayed up with it, if you didn't turn your television off, was a ABS call. We're going to show it to you here in the 9th inning, where Josh Bell is up at the plate. Ryan Helsley, the pitcher, calls for the review. You see, if you have to tap your cap to get the review call. They go to review because Bell thinks he's walked, right? We got runners at first and second with just 1 out. But they review it, and if it catches just a bit of the strike zone, which it does, that's a strike. You can see right there, and it's overturned. Bell is out. Derek Shelton lost it because he believed that the pitcher, Helsley, didn't go to his cap fast enough. That's the rule on this, is that you've got to go within 3 seconds, and you cannot argue. This is like balls and strikes. You can't argue balls and strikes. You automatically get ejected. Shelton did that and promptly got ejected from the game. Now, if you look at slowing this down, Helsley goes to it. I don't know if it's within 3 seconds. It's awfully darn close. When I watched it live and then I watched it again, I'm like, I think he didn't do it immediately, but he did it. I thought, watch again. 1,000, 2,000, right there. It's within that 3-second window. Here's what Shelton had to say afterwards after getting tossed.
I didn't think Helsley tapped his hat quick enough. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but I didn't feel he did. I feel like it's got to be something that's in the 3 seconds, and I didn't think it was there, but umpiring crew thought it was.
So, and he gets tossed from the game, and obviously the Twins end up losing 8-6 was the final. To me, that's not the outcome of the game that you want to focus on. To me, 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position. And Shelton was also asked about the pitching strategy yesterday, and was asked, when did you decide that this was going to be the deal? And he said about 2.5 weeks ago, knowing that the Twins were going to have 2 off days here. They had an off day on Friday, and they have an off day tomorrow. They're playing today in Kansas City because it's the Royals' home opener. That they brought Ober in for 4 innings, and then Abel pitched 3 1/3 yesterday, because we know Ober's velocity has been an issue to start spring training and throughout basically the month of March, that Ober has not been cracking over 90 for the most part. So, again, you can nitpick about it. To me, I thought, again, you watched it there, I thought it was within that 3 seconds in live time of him touching his cap and calling for it. Here's what I'll say about the ABS deal. After 3 or 4 days of watching it, what have we been doing without it? That's all I can say. Like, it has been tremendous. It is, if it's not only sped up the game, it's just made C.B. Buckner, who is he's the worst umpire out there. Saturday, I believe he had 8 calls reversed. I don't care if it embarrasses him. I don't care if it takes longer to do it. I've always said this about anything with instant replay with any sport. I just want it right. If we have the technology to make it right, then use it. And I get it. We were up at the Shack 10 days ago, right, doing the WBIT. And they're experimenting with a rule there that a coach can challenge a foul at any time under any circumstance. And we had 4 calls that took egregiously long. I'm not a fan of that in terms of the length of time. You got to be within a certain, like a minute. Like the football reviews drive me crazy, the ones that go beyond. If you can't determine it within 60 seconds or 90 seconds, then we're playing on. That would be my own limitation on it. But if we have the ability, we have cameras everywhere. Like tennis has had this forever. This Hawkeye system where you can challenge a call if it's in or on, and instantaneously. It's the same thing in baseball. What are we doing that we've been without this for as long as we've had is just mind-bending to me. But it works. That, to me, is the biggest takeaway of the opening 3 or 4 days of the baseball season, is that we have gone this long without it, and we could have had it. Like, I get umpires, they are going to get shown up. You know what? And the determination of the strike zone has been the most egregiously moved topic over the last 20 years. It was always to the armpits to the knees is what I understood. And it's all over the place. Now, there it is. The box is there. Keep it inside it. And if not, again, I thought Helsley went and tapped it. It's immediate to get a challenge there. As for on the field, Twins 1-2 to start. Off to Kansas City to start a series today. Again, they'll play today, off day Tuesday, and then play Wednesday, Thursday for the home opener coming up on Friday. Tickets still available at Target Field. I was texting with my father-in-law about that because I saw the promotion. Never have they not sold out Target Field. Take the COVID year out of 2020 and even maybe 2021. Target Field on opening day has always been filled. That's not great. Simeon Woods Richardson will go today on his 2026 debut. That's a 3 o'clock first pitch for the Twins at Kauffman Stadium today to open up against the Royals. We have a packed show coming up for you here on this Monday morning. No typical overreaction Monday. Not our typical guest lineup because our guy Sam Herder is gone this week, but you'll hear from new Bison starting quarterback Nathan Hayes about taking over the job in 2026. Spoke with him on Friday. We'll hear our interview coming up with him at 9:35. Jeff Kolpack will be along at 10 o'clock. We'll have plenty from Jeffrey to chat about at 10. And at 10:35, as I mentioned, a huge Bison football recruiting weekend. Jack Tabbert from Pewaukee, Wisconsin will join us. He's a member of the 2027 class. Turned down 9 other offers, including a couple of Mountain West offers. New Mexico was one of them. Northern Illinois was another. That's a biggie as well. Now the Bison going head-to-head with these other Mountain West schools as they're a member of said league. You'll hear from Jack coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy last Monday in March. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll salute our best of the weekend, including a first that happened at Shields Arena this weekend. That's coming up when we come back. Time for our best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday at 9:20. We got plenty of good nominees. Let's begin. The basketball postseasons are still rolling on. We've got the NCAA tournament where we're down to the Final Four in both men's and women's basketball. We're out to 6. We'll find the Final Four here tonight. You got music for this, guys. You can play that when you got it. We've got the WBIT. We got the semifinals of that going on today in Wichita. That was the tournament that North Dakota State was in. We got the men's NIT. We got a connection there. Illinois State is still playing with its 2 North Dakota guys in Bowden Skunberg and Mason Clabo. We're going to hopefully check in with them this week as well. The WNIT is still going. That was the tournament that the Bison have been in the last 3 years. South Dakota is the lone Summit League team still playing. On March 30th, their season is still alive. Yesterday, they played Montana State in the quarterfinal round. Molly Joyce, the transfer from Truman State, was the story. Joyce went crazy. She scored 15 points in the fourth quarter alone. This, the dagger 3 to win it. South Dakota wins it 65-56. Joyce went for 31 in the victory. USD is moving on. They're into the Fab Four. They can't call it the Final Four because the NCAA is that trademark. But South Dakota will play either tomorrow or Wednesday in the Fab Four. The other quarterfinalists, Illinois State and George Washington. Arkansas State and Cleveland State is one of them as well as part of this tournament. Big win for USD. You know what? You can keep on Marshall and Army as the other quarterfinalists as well. Carrie Amy's team had a really solid year. They finished 3rd in the Summit League. Now, granted, they are going to be changing over this roster tremendously because they have of the transfer they brought in, majority of them are seniors. Joyce is not. She's a junior. She'll be back next season, but congrats to USD. They're still playing. Remember, the Bison were playing, was this day last year. It was a Monday, so I think it was March 31st, obviously. You're still playing this late. I mean, it is late in the year, man. We're almost to April. You're still playing basketball. That's a heck of a season. Congratulations to South Dakota on its win yesterday. Looked like a good crowd as well in Vermillion. Staying in the state of South Dakota, pretty good crowd that traveled down to the Denny Sanford Premier Center. Both on Thursday, more in the building on Saturday. They had plenty to cheer about for North Dakota facing Quinnipiac in the regional final. Jack Kernan scored 2 goals for UND in that first period. This one is a phenomenal goal. That should be replayed forever and ever. That made it a 2-0 UND lead. It was 3-rip in the first period to get the Quinnipiac goaltender pulled. I mean, if you're doing that, you're on your way. I mean, I flipped the game on. It was 2-0. Saw the 3-0 game. Like, yeah, they're not losing this game. That's just not what was going to happen. Dylan James scored. That made it 4-0. Then we got to give some love to Spunar, who was fantastic. He stopped every shot thrown at him over the 2 days. UND going back to the Frozen Four for the first time since 2016 as they beat Quinnipiac 5-rip. Here's who you have left that are going to Vegas. Wisconsin knocked off top seed Michigan State in overtime Saturday. So how about an old WCHA rivalry game in Las Vegas? Wisconsin and UND. That'll be the first game a week from Thursday at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The other side of the bracket will have Michigan and Denver. Wolverines won yesterday in beating Minnesota Duluth. And Denver got a win over Western Michigan in their games. The Michigan game was a 4-3 game with Duluth scoring 3 in the third period to make that a game. Western Michigan was dominated by Denver. So how about this for you hockey rubes out there? You have the 4 winningest hockey teams playing in the Frozen Four. These are the 4 teams that have the most national championships in college hockey that are still playing. That's pretty darn cool. Michigan trying to end a long drought. UND hasn't won a title since 2016. Denver actually has the most recent success. They've been the team that has climbed on top in the NCHC here over recent time. Wisconsin's last title was 2006. That was in Milwaukee. Michigan, last time they won the national championship, you got to go back a ways for the Wolverines. What did I think it was 1996? No, 98. 98 for Michigan. When they beat Boston College in Boston. And obviously Denver, well, they've waited all 2 years. Denver won it in 24, won it in 22, and of course they're back in 26. Those games coming up April the 9th in Las Vegas. T-Mobile Arena, the home of the Vegas Golden Knights. I can only anticipate the flights will be plentiful from both Grand Forks and Fargo to get out there for the games, which I would also anticipate, as we talked about late last week, there will be quite a few fans that will make the journey out there. You got 4 great fan bases. ESPN2 will have the Frozen Four semis at 4 and 7:30 on April the 9th. Last thing, and we'll stay with hockey, because we saw something on Saturday night at Shields Arena that we have never seen before. The Fargo Force are playing Saturday night in a game with Dubuque. Goaltender gets to the puck and shoots it on net and scores. Samuel Renek, his first career USHL goal. It's a goalie goal. The crowd went crazy. I got this sent to me like, hey, you got to make sure you get this in the show on Monday. The replay of it, by the way, those sweaters are fantastic. When did they start wearing those? Watch this again. He knows exactly what's going on. That was perfect. And look at this. It's center cut. What a goal. First time ever that's happened in Fargo Force franchise history in a 6-2 Force win. Play this again, Ben. This is really good, man. You don't see this enough. And look at the time. There was 4 minutes left in the game. Dubuque had pulled its goalie. And Renek says, you know what? I'll one-up him. And he scores. It's a perfect shot. Building went nuts. He went nuts appropriately so. You just don't see that enough. Force added another empty netter later to win it 6-2. That, you know what? If you're gonna, and they look like they had a good crowd there on Saturday night. If you're gonna get a good amount of people in the building, why not have a goalie goal? The only other thing that's more rare in hockey is the goalie fight. But this is better, honestly. We don't see. You would say the goalie goal is more rare to see than the goalie fight. Congratulations to the Force and Sam for his goal on Saturday night. We had a couple other nominees we didn't have video of Congratulations to Chaska. The Hawks won the Minnesota 4A Boys Basketball State Championship. They beat Apple Valley on Saturday night. Chaska went from winning 8 games a year ago to winning the biggest class of boys basketball. That's pretty darn cool. You don't see those kind of turnarounds all that often, especially in boys basketball. Congratulations to them. Congrats to Hills Beaver Creek. They did the double. Hills Beaver Creek, first off, beat Henning in overtime in a great game on Friday. And then they crushed Janesville Waldorf Pemberton to win the Class A title. Hills Beaver Creek won the 9-man football championship. We remember that. They win the Class A basketball title, so shout out to them. The AA title went to Minnehaha. No surprise there. They beat Goodhue, who was the number 1 seed. If anybody watched the 3A title game like I did Saturday afternoon, awesome game. Totino Grace beat De La Salle. De La Salle actually had a chance to tie the game and then turn the ball over with 3 seconds left. Totino won it 72-70. Great game at Williams Arena. And as I mentioned, the last game, congrats to Chaska in winning the 4A title. Christian Wiggins from Wayzata was named Mr. Basketball yesterday as well. And that puts a bow on the basketball seasons in our area. For North Dakota and Minnesota, it is now done. We can firmly transition to the spring sports season. It's almost April, a couple days away. And the weather has been beautiful, although we're going the other way later in the week. But those are our best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday at 9:20. A goalie goal included in there for the first time. We'll take a break. When we come back, Bison football spring balls in a week 2. You'll hear from QB1. For a lot of people, you may meet QB1 and Nathan Hayes. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns on a Monday. We're back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Monday morning show off and rolling. No Sam Herder this week. We'll get Sam back next week. It'll be perfect because when Sam rejoins us next Monday, I believe there is going to be a news conference scheduled for Thursday this week out of Pensacola, Florida, where we got another team making the move up to Division I of the FCS ranks, the University of West Florida, the Argonauts, all-time great nickname, will announce that they are taking their athletic program from the Gulf South Conference, which is the home of formerly of West Georgia. If you remember them, the Wolves moved up, had some success at the D1 level this past year in FCS football. West Florida is going to do the same thing. One of our favorites, Jalen Bussey, ended his football career there after playing 4 years at North Dakota State, transferred back closer to home, Florida guy, and played at West Florida. He told me really good football program, and they expect to compete right away. So Sam will give us a little on that. Likely they're moving to the United Athletic Conference and will be a member of that beginning next year, as in 2026. So we'll get the update on that when Sam rejoins us a week from today. Now, we mentioned on Friday we were heading out to Bison spring practice for the first time as we had our first availability to get a chance to see the practices and get a bunch of interviews. You'll hear from them, whether here on Hot Mic or on our newscast over the next couple of weeks or so, and visiting with some guys we know and some newer players, that's to me is always the fun part about spring football is, frankly, visiting with the players you haven't heard from yet. You know, you're going to hear, I would say, over the next little bit from Ryan Babbitts, who you may have heard from, at least on our program. I'd like to think you've been introduced to him. Get a chance to now hear from him as the starting left tackle. Alex Elliott, guy that transferred in from the University of Minnesota this time last year. Actually, was after spring football. Then got hurt within the first week of fall camp. Missed the entire season. Now he's back healthy. Opportunity for him to earn his way onto the football field. Jackson Williams, another guy, we know. Well, now he's probably going to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Bison this upcoming year. And lastly, it falls on quarterback as well. Now, Nathan Hayes is not unknown, I think, to the super duper Bison football fan. They certainly probably know he's got the strongest arm on the team. Know he was a Division I baseball prospect, had a Kentucky scholarship offer to go pitch in the SEC out of high school. I think they may have seen Hayes play, whether it was 2 years ago, in mop-up duty against Middle Tennessee State, where he took off and ran 51 yards for a touchdown, or when he became the backup when Cole Payton got hurt in 2024 and started zinging it against Murray State, got in there and played. Or whether it was last year when he was the backup and threw the long touchdown against Tennessee State in Nashville, or did it against St. Thomas and threw a touchdown to Bryce Lance. He's played. He's actually played quite a bit. He's thrown the ball more career pass attempts than Cole Payton did at this time last year. But now it's all different. Now he is the starting quarterback for a fifth-year senior. Much like Cole Payton, he's going to have 1 year to do this unless somehow during this next run that we find out that players still get 5 years to play 5 years, which means Hayes will get another year to do it, considering the red shirt wouldn't count. We'll go down that road when it actually matters. But as of now, he gets the 1 year. And as it turns out, it's as an FBS quarterback. He's changed his number. He's going to go to number 2. Told me Easton Stick is number 12. I'm my own guy. I'm going to set out and have my own identity. And that's why he's wearing number 2 for this upcoming season. And he's going to have to work with a new offensive line, something we'll get into the second hour of the show. But this is maybe our first real chance to visit with him. Myself, Jeff Kolpack, Mike McFeely were there on Friday. Our conversation with now QB1 and Nathan Hayes.
It's all the same work, but it's a little different just when things aren't going your way. You're the one that they turn to instead of there being another guy. So I feel like Cole was that older guy last year that everybody was able to turn to. And I don't mind being that guy for this team. We've come a long way together. I know the guys that I come into school with. So it's cool to look around, see how far we've come, and then kind of give back to the younger guys.
Does it feel like you've played maybe more than Cole did? At least to me it does over the last. Does it feel that way to you?
Yeah, I definitely felt like I did play a lot. Got a lot of good experience last year. But I think Cole had some big time opportunities as well. Just being able to get into a lot of meaningful games in his time under Cam. So I think we've both been well prepared just from the opportunities that Cam gave Cole and then that Cole gave myself. So this year it's no different. We're just looking to constantly improve.
The parallels between you and Cole, 1 year to go, and you got to make it your best. You see that in the parallels?
I do, and that's something that I've talked to Cole a lot about, just because there's so much uncertainty with that. There's that new leadership role that you can't, you don't have a season to kind of progress and show everybody what you're capable of. So you have to use the offseason to your advantage as much as possible to kind of show that leadership and get your whole team behind you.
You're throwing a lot more passes than Cole ever did at this time last year. So I think you got that going for you. That at least you don't have to ask you, hey, can you throw the ball?
Yeah, I mean, that's always been one of my strong suits, and that's a testament to Cole and the job that he did last year, being able to get up late in games or sometimes early in games to give myself a chance to show what I can do to improve myself. So, that's just what we're always striving for, and I think I got a lot of good reps at that last year.
What was your reaction to the Mountain West move?
Initially, it was kind of like, here we go again. Kind of every off season, there's talks about it, and so it was like initially, all right, is this real? Is this not real? But when we finally found out it was real, it was kind of surreal to know that you're the team that's being able to do it, and that just goes to show what the teams before us were capable of doing, and what they did, how much success they had to put us into that situation. And the whole team's just super excited. There's just an extra step about us this year, this offseason, and you can tell that we're ready to make the jump, that we're ready to compete right away.
Does it change anything you guys do?
It's
oh my God, we're going to be playing Mexico.
Right, yeah, it's all the same work, but it is a little different in the off season because we're not familiar with any of the teams we're playing. So as far as a film standpoint, it's a little different because you're not playing SDSU for the however many time. Like, just new defenses, new opponents that kind of got to study a little more because we don't know all their tendencies from their defense coordinators. So I think that's the biggest thing. But weight room wise, on the field, all the same. And we're just going to go back to our roots and how we've always done things here.
You got into watching film and stuff already on some of the other teams just to understand what they are and what they're about?
We have. Yep. 2 or 3 times a week, just in the off season, going up with the guys, picking a few games just to kind of skim through, get a baseline understanding of what teams do. What are their top 3 coverages, what are their top 3 pressures, that kind of thing, so that we're not surprised or any of that once we get to that week.
Impression, look at some of the film.
I think a lot of the teams that we're going to play are really athletic, and so I think that's going to, they're going to rely more on their athleticism than, kind of teams in the past have been able to do with us. Yeah, a different style. They're going to be big, fast, and strong. So nothing that we haven't seen in the Valley, but it's going to be a constant week-to-week basis.
What do people not know about you? They're going to see you at quarterback this fall.
I think just the ability to lead. I think, in the SDSU game, you kind of saw a little bit of, the hothead version of myself. But that's not, there's always that competitive fire. But I think in more situations than not, I'm very composed and able to be that kind of foundation for my teammates.
That play is the one that will live for a long, long time, I think, for Bison football fans, of what happened to the fourth quarter lead in Brookings last year. But I think, and Hayes and I talked about this last year after that, because I said, do you play better angry? And he said, yes. That's part of his demeanor, part of how he goes into it. Now, granted, he has to learn to probably harness that maybe a little bit better, but in terms of arm talent, all that is all there, folks. There's no question on that. This is a different set of questions that we have around this year's Bison quarterback as opposed to last year. And frankly, the fact that we had any questions about the Bison quarterback last year's arm strength seem ridiculous now, considering I'm looking at a latest mock draft that has Cole Payton going in the 4th round of the NFL draft. So let's, be that as it may, there are different questions that consider with Nathan Hayes. Obviously, competition level is going to be starkly different. You heard him asked about that. Like, this isn't preparing for South Dakota State and South Dakota and Northern Iowa. No, this is now the Bison are preparing for New Mexico and UNLV and UTEP and Northern Illinois. That's a whole different, that no one has done that before. And Hayes obviously being the biggest part of that as the starting quarterback, having to adjust for that. That is number one in terms of the differences the Bison signal caller has to adjust to. I think there is obviously inherent pressure that goes with it, that and it looks like Peyton is going to be drafted. It's going to be 5 consecutive starting quarterbacks drafted into the National Football League. He certainly doesn't want to upset the apple cart here and try to become the 6th with an opportunity to do that. And his tape is going to be now evaluated against FBS competition. I think he has some challenges that his predecessors didn't. Namely, offensive line is going to be jumbled up again. That's a topic we'll get into, as I mentioned, in the second hour when Kolpack joins us on who's going to be lining up where. The other is, honestly, who he's throwing the ball to. I don't think it's beyond saying this, considering he said it on the show, that NDSU is still looking for a potential playmaker at wide receiver. Mekhi Collins is not practicing right now. He's out with injury. The Bison have Jackson Williams back. Isaiah St. Romain is back. Logan Conklin is back. Those are the established guys with Johnny Gores and Kate Osterman. But that's it. I mean, you want to add the combined catches of all those guys? We're not talking more than 50, I'd say, just off the top of my head. So that's not a ton, clearly. They have some redshirt freshmen like Dylan Vogel, young man from Maple Grove, Minnesota, that redshirted last year that perhaps can pop, and this spring will be big for that. But they don't have a Bryce Lance, obviously. They don't have a Chris Harris. They don't have a Raja Nelson. Can't underestimate Raj's importance out there. Or even Braylon Henderson going back to the year prior to that. That's the thing that will be interesting to see how NDSU attacks this. Because I do think they're going to be able to run the ball, I think, more effectively than they did last year. Just watching that between Miles Mitchell and DJ Scott, Braylon Tolliver, who's the true freshman that enrolled early, watching them practice on Friday, you get a sense that they're going to be able to do that. Granted, the offensive line is going to be a big difference on that. But to me, that will be different. The other question that was asked to me, and I asked this, who's out there? Like at this time of the year, if you are still available, then how good are you? That to me is, I think, a fair point. We'll see. But that is the clear difference with this year's quarterback as opposed to last year. Certainly, as I mentioned before we go to break, no issue with arm strength. He can hum it wherever and get it there in a hurry. I was visiting with Jackson Williams about that. You said, you got to be ready. That ball's coming whether you're ready for it or not when number 2 is throwing it your way. So there you have it, folks, with the new starting quarterback for North Dakota State. Much more spring ball coverage coming throughout the next few weeks. Get us ready. Before we know it, we'll be turning the page and be in May. And all right, now it's on in terms for football. Let's break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up our first hour update of the women's basketball Final 6. We'll get to the Final 4 later tonight. We'll wrap up Hour 1 of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. We are down to 6 teams left in the women's basketball tournament. Yesterday, Connecticut won again over Notre Dame. UCLA got a little test from Duke and then pulled away. They have advanced to the Final 4. That's 2 1 seeds. 2 more could make it later tonight. Texas and Michigan will play at 6 o'clock tonight, followed by South Carolina and TCU. TCU and Michigan have all the pressure on them to try and make sure it's not all chalk on the women's side. Now, on the flip side of that, you could say if South Carolina and Texas win, then, man, you've got an ultimate Final 4 set for Friday night in Phoenix if the top seeds are able to advance on. You'd have a UConn-South Carolina showdown again in the Final 4. Last year, Connecticut wiped the floor with South Carolina, and UConn hasn't lost since. And then a UCLA-Texas game? Holy cow. Now, Michigan and UCLA played earlier this year, one of UCLA's closer games all season long. If you're not watching the women's games, and I can say, well, why would I watch? The games have been boat races. I tell you, now is the time. TCU's got a heck of a team as well. UCLA's team is fantastic. Connecticut goes without saying. But just going back here, UCLA, their only loss this season is to Texas. They got them back in December, and they beat Michigan by 3 earlier this year as well. So let's go. We'll see what ends up happening. A shout out to the Gophers. They had their season ended by UCLA on Friday night in the Sweet 16. It was a big win there for the Bruins to move on Friday night. So we'll see what happens with Dawn Plitzoweitz's team that will have Mara Braun back and what other additions will happen there. We will wait and see on that. But that's where things are at on the women's side after what happened over the weekend. As I mentioned, those 2 games coming up at 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock tonight to wrap up the Elite 8, and then we're down to the Final 4 on the women's side. We mentioned, we showed you earlier the WNIT with South Dakota's win over Montana State. The WBIT semifinals are this afternoon. That's the tournament that North Dakota State was eliminated by Columbia last week. Columbia plays today against Wisconsin. These games are in Wichita at 1:30 on ESPNU. They'll be followed by Kansas and BYU at 4 o'clock. The winners of that will play for the championship on Wednesday for the 32-team WBIT to wrap up that event, which has obviously some connections there. Al Evans plays for Kansas in her last go-around in collegiate basketball. still the leading three-point shooter in the country for KU, and they've had a heck of a year at 22-13 on the season. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that. One other women's basketball note, if you missed it, late last week, obviously St. Thomas made some waves with its hiring of Mandy Pearson from Duluth, former Cobber Hall of Famer. She will join us on the show tomorrow to chat about taking over at St. Thomas. So one scheduling note there tomorrow on the show. Mandy will join us about what I think is a great job. Really interested to see what the response is on her getting the job and what players either stick, because they've got a couple of really nice foundation pieces there. Alyssa Sand is a great post player that St. Thomas already has, and what they can add around that will be really interesting to that. Two other notes before we break. Over the weekend, if you missed this, North Dakota Mr. Basketball, Carter Evanson from West Fargo-Horace was named Mr. Basketball. Lily Bell from Minot Miss Basketball, the two winners there. Honestly, no surprise. Carter Evanson has had a great career, had a great senior season. He's off to the University of North Dakota for next year to play for Paul Sather's team. And if memory or if recent trends hold, he'll be there for a year or two and then transfer somewhere else. That as a joke there. But Evanson had a great run, and first-time winner from Horace to get a Mr. Basketball award there. So congratulations to Carter on that. Let's break. When we come back, we'll start our second hour. Jeff Kolpack waiting in the wings. We'll talk with Jeffrey about the opening week of Bison Spring Football, his early thoughts, a couple other topics as well. Hot Mike, Hour 2, comes up after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a three-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
All right, here we go on a Monday with our guy Jeff Kolpack. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Okay, I'm looking at the Masters announcer lineup. You, again, have been left off.
What?
You're not included on here. I see Jim Nantz. I see Frank Nobilo. I see Trevor Immelman, Andrew Catalan, Dottie Pepper. Colton Nost, I don't know. Is he new? No Kolpack is listed here for next week at Augusta.
I guess I'm stuck with you.
Yeah, you're left out again.
I'm just stuck with you again.
Our guy Hoagie's got to win this week, or else he's stuck
done.
with us too.
Yeah.
So that's the tough part of. He was up. I think if he makes par at the 18th last year, he was in the top 12, which top 12 and ties get you back. He bogeyed that and missed out.
Such a fickle game,
right? Just by one shot, or else he would have been going back. And that, I mean, those guys. We've talked about Gary Woodland's win yesterday, which was awesome to see. A guy who got brain cancer and comes back and a tumor and wins a PGA event. But just one shot changes the whole trajectory, maybe your whole season. You know what I mean? It's crazy like that.
And it's amazing the fluctuations of some of these players. I pay attention. I know a lot of people don't. But there are guys like Matt Kuchar who just will smell for a long time and then all of a sudden finds some magic. Or Brant Snedeker, who was just buried for a few years ago and came back and has been some top tens in the last couple of years. So there's no reason that can't happen to Tom. I mean, he's got the game.
He's already got a couple of top 15s already this season, so it's not like he's stunk it up so far in 2026.
He just got on a bogey. He had a good start this last weekend and just got on a bogey train in the second half of the second round. And that's all it took. 3 bogeys and 4 holes.
All right. We got a couple of breaking news things to get to before we'll chat some Bison stuff, because we got a couple of emails, and I haven't waited to get to you here to say, Dom, what do we make of the Northern Iowa opening? For the first time in 20 years, there's an opening for the men's basketball job. Ben Jacobson, Mayville's own, is on his way to Utah State. Let's start with that first. The Jake is, I don't know.
I wonder if he's ever going to leave.
Right, that's I guess what I was going to say. I don't know if
now
he's
it's never. He's 55,
right?
And so I think this is. I think he looked at that. Obviously, more money.
That's a good job.
Oh, he's making almost $1 million at Northern Iowa.
Yeah, Utah State though is a good job.
It's Pac-12 now,
right? They've been to the NCAA tournament, I think 6 of the last 7 years. That's a Craig Smith, coach there. That's a really good job, Kolpack.
It is. And so good for Ben. Local Mayville guy, made good. But again, how long was he at Northern Iowa?
20 years. 2006 he got the job.
Yeah.
20 years. Here's by the way.
Now.
Well, no, before I get to that, listen to the language in the contract.
Okay.
This is unheard of because of longevity and what he's done for the university. This is literally written into his most recent extension. The buyout is zero. Is zero because he's turned down other professional opportunities. It literally said that in the contract. I read that twice. Like, wow. So he owes Northern Iowa nothing.
Nope.
And that's accurate. He's given Northern Iowa basically almost his entire professional life.
He got him into the tournament this last year, and I think he thought, it's a good time to go out on top, and so be it. Now,
yeah, you're exactly right. Now, where do they go?
The replacement.
Right. And now there's obviously some names in our own backyard here that may make sense.
Well, Dave's been here a long time, just like Ben has been at Northern Iowa a long time.
Yep. Knows Jake well.
If Dave's going to make a move, it's now or never, in my opinion. Don't you?
I would agree with that. Yep, I would say so.
Head coach for 11 years here. Yep. Has been here since his entire career.
Correct. Yep.
And so if you're going to make it, it's close. It's a regional school. His mom and dad can still go to games.
He still could drive. Yes. There's some other names out there. Craig Smith is one of them. If Craig wants to get back into the game, Tim Miles is out there.
I think he would leave San Jose State in a heartbeat. I think.
Yeah, considering
it's tough to recruit there, Dom. It's tough to recruit.
Just knowing the state of affairs, what he told us.
And I know he doesn't have great NIL budget.
Or any.
Yeah.
Or any.
Well, he's got a little bit now, but not like a lot of these schools.
Yeah, I'll be intrigued. I mean, there's a couple of assistants on staff that they may just say, hey, for the sake of maybe keeping the roster together, that we'll promote from within. Mid-majors tend to do that. They'll be intrigued to see where that goes. That's a job, though, like you said. I did not expect that would open up anytime soon, and it has now today here on a Monday.
All those guys, Craig, Tim, Dave, they all can recruit the Midwest, so that's a big deal. If I'm Northern Iowa, that's where I would look.
Another email comes in. Dom and Jeff, is it alarming that we've not heard anything on the women's basketball front at North Dakota State since the season's
no news
been
is
over
good news. Yes.
Okay, so I was going to go there.
Yeah.
So literally nothing has come out. So you could go down that road, or there might be something bubbling. I don't know. I tend to agree with you on that if nothing has happened, I don't think anything is going to happen.
Well, I'd never say never on that front, but maybe wait until after these Final Four teams are done, and then if there's no movement within days after that.
Because then, the portal then will open a week from today. It is go time.
But it's open. I mean, it's
correct.
Essentially open.
Officially opens then. But you're right. I mean, it's literally been open since team season ended about a month ago.
It's been open since January.
Declaration of seasons have been over. But I tend to agree with you. There's no news is good news on that. One last one. This was directed at you. Dom, yes, Jeff, is this surprising with the amount of guys that have gone in the portal on the men's side?
No. Nope. It's just the way it is now. Look at UND, NDSU. Now, will these guys end up where they want to? I think
that's a better
most
question.
Of them is what I'm sort of gleaning from this.
So here's go further on that. What's the definition of where they want to be? I guess
money,
right?
Yeah.
But one would say higher level than that tends to be the better. I guess viewpoint of that. I don't know how many are going to go Power 4 basketball. We thought Trayson Anderson probably would. Travion Carson probably would.
But I think we saw that answer against Michigan State, did we not?
I
don't think any of those guys really fit into that level. Maybe Travion defensively. We said that last week.
I think Carson does. Emil Skuta, I thought was interesting him going because I thought he had carved out a role. And
I thought he had a chance to start next year.
Right, I thought he would have more minutes next season.
Yeah,
right.
And I think he was certainly on track for more minutes.
Yes.
Now, it'll be his third school next year.
Correct.
It'll be Travion's third school next year. Who's going on 4?
Mark Kai was, but he left.
Marley,
and
but he
Mike's
didn't play much.
Yeah,
He'll be playing his 4th school.
Correct. Yep. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Yep.
That him leaving, not surprising. Trayson Anderson, no. Travion Carson, no. We knew Damari and Feddersen were gone. Skuta would be the only one I thought, he could have stayed and maybe carved out a really good role. Because I thought his role on this team, what was he? The seventh? I would think he was 7th off the bench, right? The second guy off the bench.
And did he not look at, all these guys left.
Right. But, hey, there's an opportunity here.
To me, that's a mind-boggling. Maybe he just didn't like the cold weather. I don't know.
So now he's from Finland, man. Come on.
That's right.
You know?
He's got to do some Finnish Army.
He has military service that'll be obligated when he is done playing collegiate basketball.
Maybe this is a chance for him to play 2 more years and not do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You want to go Division II or something?
You want to keep playing as long as you can. I would be really interested what now David does for bringing in. We already know there's 5 high schoolers coming, so on top of that,
but you got to bring in 3, 4
guys,
older guys. Absolutely.
But is it the mix of the JUCO again? Because I thought the mix this year was perfect. Guys that had played Division I, but some others like Carson that was coming up, who was the National Junior College Player of the Year. Those are the guys.
Yeah, he hit it.
You know, you gotta mix up your roster with to really have that.
Andy Stefanowicz is the only guy coming back now, right? Played extensively.
I would say yes. Yeah, and I don't imagine Andy's going anywhere. Just knowing, obviously, his parents. I would think Stefanowicz is going to be a Bison the rest of his career, and I think he's at the perfect level.
I do
Don't
too.
you think? Like that,
and again, I think the Michigan State game taught us that he is at the right level, mid-major.
What do you make of
a really good player at the mid-major level?
What did you make of the games yesterday? It was a snooze fest until the Duke Connecticut game at the end. What a mind-bending game that was.
So I texted our friend Logan Campbell, who covers Duke for the TV station. I go, well, if Duke wins, looks like you're headed to the Final Four.
Yeah.
It's a kiss of death.
The old jinx there.
The old Izzo jinx through me.
What a finish there. Totally just inbound the ball, right?
Well, hold on to the ball.
Or that too.
Yeah.
Wait for somebody to foul. You don't have to make a pass or something.
Actually, all you had to do is throw it 80 feet high and let it land on it. I mean, but, I'm not in that position, but wow.
Connecticut 3 times in 4 years now going to the Final Four. That's, in this day and age, you're able to have that kind of success. Hurley might be mocked and ridiculed. He knows what he's doing, though. He's a good coach.
Do you like him?
I don't care for
you're a Northeast guy. You like those kind of in-your-face guys.
I don't care for all the theatrics. Some of it doesn't bug me. When he's throwing coats and getting right in guys' face, I don't care for that part. That's a bit much. But, hey, he wins, right? What does it matter? And the bottom line is, if you're winning, man, you can do all that stuff. Let's chat some football, shall we? We were up at practice. Give me your, just first off, 50,000-foot view of what you saw from spring ball.
You know what, Dom? They're big and they're fast and they're strong.
Yes. Yep. There's definitely that.
Quarterback, we'll see when the bolts fly, when things are live. He's got. Talking about Nathan Hayes, he has the tools.
No doubt
He's
about
pretty
that.
fast, too. And he's big. He's 6'3", 218. We've seen the rocket arm.
We've seen the legs, too. I mean, he's run for a couple touchdowns.
Yep. And actually, my story on today, Inform.com, is they're handing the keys to him. He's question number 1 right now.
So the question I have for you, for an emailer, is, we know it's Hayes' job, Jeff, but who's the front runner for QB2?
Right now, I think it's Trey Drake because of experience.
Yes. Yep.
And they're intrigued to see if Preston Brown and or Xander Smith can make plays in spring ball. I think that's going to be a big part of it.
That's something to watch. I mean, if you're going to pay attention to spring football, those are the positions to keep an eye on as obviously QB2.
I think the offensive line will be just fine.
Yep.
If not a little better than last year, if I think Empey can take over at center, if that's the way it's going to go. But, they have 2-3 other options that are possible.
Gage Schmidt was getting some run with the first team at center on Friday when we were up there.
Ryan Babbitts is just a freak show.
He gained 15 more pounds.
He's
I know you wrote about this over the weekend.
He power cleans 400, which I talked to Jim Kramer on Friday, who's been here since 2004, and he goes, the most I think I've seen is 350. It's not like going 350 to 360.
No, you're going 350 to 400, man. No.
Just because you can clean doesn't at a Olympic level doesn't mean you can block. You can block, but I think it's a good sign.
I think we saw enough out of Babbitts last year that he can do the position, that they're ready for him, that I don't think that's him right there, that they were not sure. They were upset that Bo Johnson left, Jeffrey, but I think they knew, all right, we got the future here. We were out there, remember, at fall camp last year, whatever it was, week 2, and Babbitts was getting reps with the first team. And I was like, is this for real? The true freshman that's been here for a couple of months?
No, there's the guy
that's the other
is the
one.
intriguing guy is Kenny Anene, the transfer from Kansas. Man looks the part.
No doubt about that.
Oh, my gosh. He looks the part. Now, can he play the part?
He would be the expected right tackle with the move of Josh Magan moving inside to right guard. And if they have their hopes that Griffin Empey would then move to the center position, give him some more flexibility there. Nate Tosted looks bigger as well. He's up to 300 pounds, would take over, stay at left guard, and then you'd have Babbitts at left tackle.
And then be bigger at center if Empey moved over than they were last year.
And Empey's really good. Empey's a really good player. He's an All-American
I think
player.
it's his best NFL prospect
That's what we've heard as
position.
well, is center is the
Just because
spot
of his
there.
size, his height.
I think defensive line, I thought about this going in, but watching him again practice, D-line they're going to be salty at that spot. They're going to be A-okay there.
Going into Mountain West football, if you want to have some success and stay in games and be competitive, better be good at offensive, defensive lines. And I think that's what we're seeing so far, again, after 1 week. The depth at defensive line. We keep forgetting about Elijah Wayne and his development.
Yes.
You talk about Keenan Wilson.
Sam was talking with Elijah on Friday. And look over and like, man, he's gotten bigger too. And he played as a true freshman.
Now,
last
one of my
year.
concerns is losing Staling on the last day of the transfer portal to Michigan. And he's what was he, 235?
Yes. Yep. 6'3", 235 was Staling. Yep.
There's this, I think, and again, we don't know this for sure because I haven't seen a whole lot of Mountain West tape, but going in, I think they're a little more wide open offenses. There's not as much power game as you see in the Missouri Valley. So at linebacker, do you really need the 238-pound guy? Can Donovan Wolin slide in there? Probably playing more nickel, more a little more speed emphasis at those spots.
He certainly would have that. That would also probably open the door for Gavin Sell maybe to play more as well if you're going to go down that road to have a quicker guy to make those kind of twitchy moves.
Also, of course, cornerback, which Jaquise Alexander and Jalen Duffy transferring to, I think they regret. If I were them, I would. Certainly.
I would say Jaquise does. I don't know about Duffy. Duffy's in Central Florida.
Central Florida.
Yeah.
But will he play much? Well, he's still there. That's good for him. But Delaware.
Jaquise going to Delaware, you can mock or ridicule that move if you want. Yeah, that one doesn't make much sense to me.
When you get 6, 7 guys going into the portal, not everybody's going to end up at Vanderbilt. They're just not.
Yeah.
Not at this level.
No. And I think more and more fans are starting to wake up to that as well. We've talked about this for probably 5 years, that the grass isn't necessarily always greener, but also that some of these guys don't find places to play. Some are just done, which is terrible, but is unfortunate. This is how it works. You might get fed a line of complete BS that you're this good, and then it goes out there and nobody wants
Why you
you.
would trust some agent over the judgment of the Bison coaching staff is beyond me.
That is very fair. I don't get that one bit. I will say, just going back, the guys that are here at corner, that's something you want another position to watch.
The 2 transfers,
absolutely.
Volts
and E.J. Davis are the other ones. Yep, those are quick. I've heard that the 2 of the fastest guys on the team. Can they cover? Especially now against the type of talent that is going to be exuded out there.
Better receivers than you saw in the Missouri Valley, no question.
Are there better tight ends? I don't know this. That's I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know,
Because tight end was always a position of strength in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. There were guys typically on each team, for the most part, that were really good tight ends. I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
I don't know if these
in the
offenses employ fullbacks or tight ends. I don't think so.
I would say fullback is a big fat goose egg there.
That's why you need linebackers that can run.
Yeah.
You're going to be covering slot guys all the time.
Quarterback play, I think, goes without saying. Quarterbacks are going to be good in this conference, but I think skill position-wise, running back, wide receiver are going to be really
again,
good.
If things are more wide open, how did NDSU go 9-5 against FBS? They were a more physical team against these teams that want to play run and gun, going against a team that wants to beat the what out of you
exactly
for 4 quarters, and by the 4th quarter you're going, man, I've had enough.
Well, I'll flip this and we go to break here. Also, I think it's going to change the Bison offensively. They're going to go back to running the football more. I really believe that.
I would.
With the advantage they think they have on the offensive line, I think they're going to be better at running back this year than they were last year.
What's the best way to keep another offense and receivers off the field?
Run on the ball.
Hold the ball.
Yep. All right, let's break. We got a few more topics we'll get to on spring football. We'll take a couple other questions as well. We got a few other emails to get to as we roll on in our second hour. Back with more with Kolpack on Hot Mic right after this. Hey, Ben, on the 2-shot, make sure we're using camera 1 for me and Kolpack. That just looks better than the straight-on camera 4. Please. Thank you.
Come on, Ben.
Welcome back, everybody. Email comes in. Jeff, loved your story on Cordell Volson. Give us a little bit more catching up with the former Bison All-American who was back in town last week.
As were another 100 of his
that was
Bison Football
that was
Players
quite
Association.
The deal on Friday.
Yep. A surprise party for Jim Kramer.
When did he figure out that it was for him, by the way?
When?
Yeah.
I don't know. Cordell looks good, sounds good.
Yeah.
Says he feels as good as he has in a long time.
Head to Nashville now.
Yep. Had the shoulder surgery, I believe, in August, and he got totally cleared from his doctors and other medical team personnel. So ready to go.
He'll have a good chance.
He's such a man.
Yes.
He's such a good dude.
Yes.
What a big, So, and I wrote this. I think mentioned it. Kramer's sitting there with all these offensive linemen at practice, and I see him from across the field.
Yep.
I go, God, he looks like a lightweight wrestler.
Right.
Amongst all those, I mean, who doesn't next to those guys?
Well, next to Jake Kubis, Volson's there. There's a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
Even Carson Shooting, who's lost a ton of weight, still is a big guy next to all those other guys in there, which was pretty cool to see. Our friends from the Nevada Sports Network who cover Nevada put out this tweet about predicting what everybody's record was going to be in the Mountain West Conference. Ben, you can throw this tweet up on screen. They've got North Dakota State going 8-4 in the Mountain West, which I think is spot on.
Yep,
I do.
It's about right.
They got New Mexico going 10-2, UNLV 8-4, Air Force 7-5, and then Hawaii at 7-5 is the best teams in the league this year.
Bison have the top 4 teams coming back on the road.
And all on the road. If that ends up being the case, they finish there, that will come down to a tiebreaker that NDSU could play in the Mountain West Championship game.
Well, and if that's I mean, there's so much to be determined.
Correct. I'm just pointing it out that they would have the second tied for the second best record in the league.
That would mean they'd have to win at least one game on the road.
Yes.
We believe against either UNLV, New Mexico,
Hawaii.
Air Force, Hawaii.
Yeah. Which I think is
it's going to be a tough task.
I think there's a good chance they win all their home games, both non-conference and conference games. So if that's the case, you got 6 wins already. Which then after that you got to find. Can you find 2 on the road?
So curious to the Jacksonville opener matchup here at the Dome on how they match up. Physically and speed-wise and all those things.
Yeah, Jacksonville State's got some athletes.
They do.
No doubt about that.
And they've won 9 wins in the last 2 years at the FBS level.
They have transitioned well from the FCS to the FBS level. They have become, but I will point this out, they play in Conference USA, which we would say is probably the worst of the G6 leagues. I would say them and the MAC are probably there battling it out for who has the last spot of the Gs. I mean, you look at the bottom of Conference USA, it ain't pretty, man.
Nope.
That's not good.
Nope.
That taking away anything from them, but that's just out there.
No, there's 4 or 5 instant wins in that league.
And I would also
if
say
you're any good.
Fargo might be a bit amped up for that one.
Hope so.
Coming late August.
That's the vibe I get from people. I mean, that's what I'm getting. We'll see.
Yeah. Email comes in. The Summit League needs to align itself with a higher level mid-major conference. It would help stem the tide of the mass portal transfers year after year. I don't know how they're going to do that.
It's all about money and NIL and what do they call it? Athletic department shared revenue, rev share. Share.
They're not going anywhere. That's the league has to steady itself. That's separate of NIL though.
You talk about the bottom of a league. The Summit men, but more particularly the women, are so bad.
Yeah, I think that was reflected when we saw in the game last Sunday up at the Shack. Like the Summit League at the very top is pretty good. Very bottom, I mean, the bottom of the Ivy would probably be near the top of the Summit League. Is easy to say. Just how
could be
comparison there.
I haven't seen it, but
bottom
I
of the league.
doubt it.
I mean, the last 4 teams in the Summit in women's basketball, I think their net rankings were all in the 300s.
Oof.
There's 360 teams. You're talking about counting automatic wins. That would be the case. There's nothing going to stop that. If players are going to go. I mean, if you're on a mid-major all-conference award list, it's donezo.
First or second team.
If you have
I think it's
eligibility
been
left.
90% of departure rate.
If you have
eligibility
left, you are going to go. There's no doubt.
I bet when those all-conference teams comes out, comes out, the players just go, 500,000, baby, right there.
Well, here's the scary part.
First team pick.
Like this year, I don't know if you know this, the D2 and D3 men's championship games are being played in Indianapolis at the Final Four. How easy is that for the teams that are there? Like, oh, okay, well, we need this. Well, we'll go get the best guy in this D2 team to fill in for us next season. I mean, they're literally right under their noses in Indianapolis next weekend.
Why do you think that matters? They know where the players are. It's just it's not that hard.
At this time of day, yeah, it's not like they're going to have a hidden gem anymore, right? Those are far and few between that are sneaking through that are going to get through. We've got new Bison recruit coming on here after you're done. Bison got 4 in a 36-hour
Yeah, does that make
span.
8 total now?
Correct.
8 total.
That they have for the class of 2027.
So I got a story going on this tomorrow on Inform that the head coach believes that by being an FBS school, and there's no, and we've discussed this ad nauseum, there's no close in proximity G6 schools. Western Michigan, Northern Illinois, Wyoming. That's a huge. There are no G6 schools in South Dakota, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa.
Yep.
There are no G6 schools there.
Correct. That's a wide open space.
That's
there.
a huge area. And so I think these kids are going and I got
Kansas is another one, by the way. Throw Kansas in there.
Yeah.
No G6 there.
And there's no G6 there.
Yep.
And so these kids are going, well, if the Big 10 or Big 12 doesn't come and I want to stay somewhat close to home, I'm taking this right now.
Well, this is something we talked about for a long time. I know you've been talking about this for a long time. But if this were ever to happen, the recruiting advantage that NDSU could potentially have, and this, I think, will play out right down the road in the Twin Cities. Because I don't think the Mountain West is going to go there. NDSU is certainly going to camp out there.
The head coach thinks they'll be coming.
To the Twin Cities?
Yes. Well, in that area.
Interesting.
Wherever NDSU's recruiting, they're going to be trying to fight it out.
Because now, if it comes down to a kid that wants to go and play at FBS level, like if it's NDSU and SDSU now in the Twin Cities, the Bison are going to win. I would think. I think they're going to win those battles.
I would think, yeah. If you want to play at a higher level, it's simple as that.
I think that's to me where they can carve out and start getting players that maybe they couldn't get before that they may now.
And plus, NDSU now has to offer full rides or nothing.
Yes,
there are no partials.
Nope.
Because before, when you see, UND and NDSU, this guy took UND over NDSU.
Yeah.
Well, what we didn't know was maybe UND offered the full, NDSU offered the half.
It's called an equivalency now. We can't say scholarships anymore, so it's called an equivalency. So it's still not a full term. They can still NDSU can still offer like 90% equivalency. They don't have to go to 100, but that it can be spread out though over 105 guys as part of them opting in to the house settlement.
But we believe they'll do 85 full equivalencies
at the moment. Yes, which is what most everybody is doing.
Yeah, because you're not gonna full 105.
Yeah. Yep.
Why would you? I mean, 105th guy is a development guy.
It's something to keep an eye on now. Is the recruiting is going to pick up as we get to the spring months. This is when guys will start making it official. Great stuff as always, bud. Thanks for coming by.
All right, thanks, Don.
Jeff Kolpack starts our week off every Monday at 10 o'clock. We'll break. Speaking of that Bison recruiting class, you'll meet Jack Tabbert from Pewaukee, Wisconsin. He will join us when Hot Mike returns on this Monday morning. We're back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. This is video of the newest North Dakota State football commit out of Pewaukee, Wisconsin. You should know the town. The Bison have frequented it. Jack Tabbert announced his verbal commitment on Saturday, part of a huge recruiting weekend for North Dakota State. They added 4 over the span of 36 hours. Tabbert comes from the same high school as Tucker Thieneman, who just is now enrolled in North Dakota State, part of the Bison class of 2026. They go back to that same school for the class of 2027. And Jack joins us here this morning. We were just visiting off air about, just give me the lowdown. The last, first off, congratulations. The last 2 days, what's it been like after announcing that you were going to school at NDSU?
I mean, just a lot of congratulations. My whole family's very proud of me. Super excited myself to take this next step in my life. And I couldn't be more happy with my decision and where I'm going to end up. So,
all right, well,
super excited.
The easy question is, how much did Tucker influence you on this? Describe your conversations over the last couple of years about this.
I mean, he's just for like 2 or 3 years, ever since freshman year math class. It's been nothing but good things about NDSU. I'm not sure he said one bad thing about them. And Tucker, to me, he won't sugarcoat it. He's not going to lie to me. So he's someone that I can really trust about it. And I've talked to him a lot about my decision, and he's just about as fired up as anyone can be. So, yeah.
Video, you guys playing next to one another. How did anybody get to the quarterback?
It didn't much, but it was unfortunate. We were lined up to just be unstoppable this year. And as you know, he hurt his knee after a couple games. So, but it was a good ride, and we're gonna get a couple more shots at it in the next couple of years, so I'm super excited.
All right, well, let's talk about your recruitment here. When did things really start, not just with NDSU, but all schools? How early on did this start for you? And now that it's over, how relieved are you that it's done?
Honestly, my process was a little bit different than a lot of people's, especially it started very, very late. I mean, not super late, but it started later than a lot of the other guys around me.
Mm-hmm.
So my first offer was North Dakota State. That was right at the end of January. It kind of started snowballing from that. I picked up 9 other offers. So just the relief of being able to finally commit, since it happened all in a 2-month period. It was very stressful, and it seemed like I was always on calls, always having to respond to someone, but I'm super relieved that it's one staff, and now I can finally lock in and settle down on North Dakota State.
Now, Jack, when you came up here, NDSU was still an FCS school. How did you follow the Mountain West news, and did that change things for you?
For sure. I think it didn't necessarily change a ton, but I think just obviously going from FCS to FBS, that's just a huge jump for them and their program. And me wanting to be a part of the first class in that for their recruiting in the Mountain West. And then I think that's going to open a lot of doors for me to play with better competition. So obviously that helped a ton, but even them being an FCS offer, it would have still heavily been in my consideration.
You had some other Mountain West schools get involved as well after the Bison did. Describe that now, those schools that were interested, and then going head-to-head with NDSU. That's a different deal, I have to imagine, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that I've had a better connection with the coaching staff anywhere else. I feel like I'm a big on connections, big on they want me too, not just me want them, So they did a really good job in that aspect, and just NDSU, I feel like it is one of the best offensive line developmental programs in the country. So it's hard to say no to that when they really want you at that school.
All right, so give us the load on how you play. We saw a little bit of video. Describe yourself up front and what kind of offensive lineman you are.
I play fast. I play physical. I want to put you in the dirt and finish every single block. And that's just my play style. Play on the run, play super fast, be nimble, and play like a big athlete.
Did you get a sense that fans up here know the offensive linemen, like they know them by name? Like Fargo is different on that. Did you know about that or find that out during the recruiting process?
Yeah, I mean, I knew they were an offensive line factory, but just after some more research and just talking to Tucker and seeing all the stuff on Twitter, I guess, especially in the last week when we got some commitments, offensive line is the thing in Fargo. So that's awesome to know and be a part of.
It's a different deal, man. It's I can't equate it anywhere else, but North Dakota State and Fargo, they know their offensive linemen. So you're getting into the deep end. up here. Now that it's done, describe what the last little bit has been like. Has it been relieving? Have you been able to enjoy it over the last couple days?
Yeah, it's been super. It's been relaxing. I feel like I made the right decision. I know I made the right decision. So just being able to relax and get prepared for them and fully put 100% of my energy into my training, my school, the baseball season, instead of having to dedicate a bunch of energy and time into the recruiting process.
All right, so I assume mom and dad were first. How long down the pecking order was Tucker when you told him you were coming? How far down was he?
He was so I called my parents right before I called Coach Chewy and Polisek. Yeah. Got off the phone with my parents, called Coach Polisek, and then I called Coach Frisky to let him know that I'm about to do it. Okay. Because he was about to get on a flight to go overseas for spring break. I called Coach Chewy and Polisek, and then right after I called Tucker. He didn't answer, but I texted him and I was like, "We're gonna play together. Let's go, Bison Pride." And he was like, "Let's go. Let's do this. I can't believe it. Let's go." And it was awesome. He was so fired up.
Now, I was visiting off air with you. You have another, and I wrote this in the story that's online. You have another Division I commit playing next to you that in Cade Rakowski, who's going to Northwestern. So literally, you guys have 3 D1 offensive linemen on your team in Pewaukee. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yes, sir. It's been great, especially with me and Cade have been best friends since as long as I can remember. Back in youth, we used to just pick at each other during practice and kind of toughen each other up. But now it's really a true friendship that we share a lot of ideas back and forth between, a lot of techniques that he sees that I see. So just being able to kind of validate and bounce stuff off of him. And then last year when Tucker was hurt, he was really one of our offensive line coaches that really shared his wealth of knowledge. And I hope to do that. Me and Kate hope to do that too with the younger guys this year too, as well as be a mentor for them.
A couple last things here with Jack Tabbert, who's one of the newest commitments for the Bison 2027 class. What position you feel the most confident in, and where does NDSU told you where they think you can play when you get here?
Yeah, I feel the most confident in the interior, but I think I can play all 5 positions. I think my athleticism really helps out with being able to move in space, pass block, run block. So I think I can play all 5 positions, but most confident in the interior. And then the talk has been interior with NDSU. I'm not as lengthy as some of the Division I tackles, but I can get out there and play wherever need to be.
Last thing for you, bud. Just, is there a text chain going with the new commits? Have you connected with the other guys that have committed for this class?
There's not a text chain with all of us in it, but I've reached out to a couple of them that I've seen commit, and what's up? Let's go, roll Bison, Bison Pride. Trying to start build that connection, and it's been good talking to them.
All right, last thing, you can brag here about your hometown and your home state. This, especially Pewaukee. I had Coach Frisky on this time last year when Tucker committed. How big is it with just the one Division I school that there's other ones that can come into Wisconsin and get them to go to Fargo?
Yeah, with there only being one Division I program, it opens a lot of opportunity for other states to come and recruit here. I think that Wisconsin is a huge offensive line state. We have 20 Division I caliber linemen here. So, Wisconsin can't take all of them. So it opens a lot of opportunity for the other states to come and recruit here.
Jack, this was great, bud. Congratulations. Thanks for giving us a few minutes. Have a great baseball season this spring, and we'll talk when football gets going, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Jack Tabbert joining us from Pewaukee, Wisconsin, one of the newest members of the Bison football class for 2027. As we mentioned, NDSU got 4 over about a 36-hour span. You can read about Jack and a couple other, including Drew Matt. We're going to have Drew on from Carrington, I believe, tomorrow's show, which really, really cool kid. And he's got the distinction of being the first North Dakotan to commit as the Bison as an FBS school. That'll be on likely tomorrow's show. But think about this with Pewaukee's football team. And for those that don't know, it's just outside of Madison, right? You've got Tucker Thieneman, who's here now, and he early enrolled at North Dakota State, who had scores of both Power 4 and G6 offers and committed to NDSU as an FCS school. You have Tabbert at 6'5", who I believe is now at 270. Cade Rakowski, who's committed, he's going to Northwestern at the same school at 6'7", 285. They all played on the same offensive line in one high school. That is remarkable. We had Justin Frisky on, literally it was last April, to chat about his team and their ability and knowing how many big schools that come through and recruit his players. And that is a feather in the cap there for them to have, let alone three Division I FBS offensive linemen and 2 going to the same school at North Dakota State. We appreciate Jack's time. That was good stuff. All right, we'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things and get you ready for a pretty good Sports Monday. Twins are playing today. We'll give you the lowdown on all that. Well, Hot Mike wraps on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on this Monday morning. Tomorrow, Mike McFeely will join us as per usual. Mandy Pearson as well, the new head coach, University of St. Thomas. Looking forward to that conversation that'll be coming up tomorrow when you join us from 9 to 11. The NFL owner meetings are underway in Phoenix. It also means the coaches are available as well. The NFC coaches are having their morning breakfast where they are grouped together by the national media there. Kevin O'Connell was asked on a couple questions, one on Carson Wentz, with the Vikings deciding to sign him. Let me get the exact quote here because I don't want to. This is from Alec Lewis from The Athletic on why the Vikings decided to sign the former Bison standout. I think it's just about depth, O'Connell said. There's pretty historical data that says if we get our quarterback play to a certain line, we'll win a lot of football games. He wanted to ensure we are able to do that. Simply saying I don't think their backup situation last year was, Carson signed, 3 days before the season began or a week before the season began after they let Sam Howell go. And, of course, Carson got hurt and Max Brosmer became a thing. I think, honestly, I said it before, I think the McCarthy era is over. I do. I think Kyler Murray is going to be the guy, and Carson Wentz is going to be the backup. And I think J.J. McCarthy is the odd guy out. I don't know if nobody's just saying the quiet part out loud right now. One last thing, also coming out of the owners' meetings here, is the headline from Awful Announcing, quote, NFL eyes exception to let teams play more than 2 short week games, helping Amazon. The new provision would reclassify Friday games to not count as short week, allowing those teams to play an additional Thursday game. Of course, it's all about helping out the league providers. It says, according to a report by Sports Business Journal, the NFL is moving to reclassify Friday games as not subject to the short week provision, thereby allowing teams to be hypothetically scheduled for 2 Thursday games in addition to a Friday game in the same season. The provision is especially important for Prime Video this season as Christmas falls on a Friday. Well, as we know, NFL has taken over Christmas. They know now that we're going to have a Thanksgiving Eve game, which is a Wednesday. We already know we're going to have a Wednesday game to start the season with the Seahawks playing. We got a game in Australia. I'm just telling you, folks, we talked about it last week. Know this. There is, again, no date is set for the Super Bowl to end the 27 season. 18 games is coming next year. Prepare for it. That's why college football is moving up. The start of its season next year, I think, is partial because the NFL's going to 18 next year, is to get out of the way because Labor Day is now going to be the start of the NFL season. You heard it here probably last, but I'm telling you, NFL 2027, 18 games. Let's do some what to watch when we get out of here. What to watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Twins open up their second series of the year at Kansas City, 3 o'clock today on Twins TV. The Wolves, boy, they are beat up. Ant might be back, though, tonight. They play Dallas, 7:30 on FanDuel Sports North. There's 8 games to go in the regular season. We mentioned the Women's Elite Eight, TCU and South Carolina, 8 o'clock tonight on ESPN. The winner goes to the Final Four in Phoenix. As we leave you today, one of my favorite plays of the weekend from the Dodgers-Diamondbacks game, Ketel Marte decides to give Freddie Freeman a hug on a force play to end the inning. Thanks so much for joining us to start our week, everybody. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.